Hello darlings, welcome to today's video. I've got the window open behind you just because this is a sensitive subject and I need fresh air, so I'm sorry if you can hear road noises or anything else, but I need it today. So I talked about it like vaguely on my channel a few times, but if you didn't know, I am very experienced with death and losing people I love, and that's a really sad thing to have to like admit, because obviously who wants that, but yeah, I am. It all kind of started 7 years ago. In 2011 I lost, I think, 9 family members in 9 months, and not all, they weren't all like all together in a big car accident or something. It was like sporadically, but yeah. And then since then I've basically lost someone every few months since, and not just that, we've been very unfortunate in that we've lost a lot of people really close together. So for example, me and my boyfriend lost people extremely close to us, literally a week apart. And then like this year we lost Ben's family dog, and then a week later we lost my family dog, both to cancer. Both were only 9 years old. It was very flukish, both was like sudden, they had no like real signs that they were unwell. And a few months before that my nan passed. So it's just been like that for us as a couple, and also just like mainly for my family, and it's something I am still struggling with, but I do think I have, because of that experience, I have the ability to maybe help people. And I always say that I think the best thing about social media is the ability to help people, whether you have 10 followers or 10 million followers. The ability to help people who you might not necessarily have come into contact with is an amazing thing, and we're all going to lose someone, and it's hard, it's really hard. And so I just want to share like some tips sounds weird, but like some advice on how to deal with death, which might seem really weird for me to do a video on, but this is a huge part of my life, and it's shaped who I am, so I feel like I should help people and turn my negative experiences into something positive. So that's what I'm going to do. In amongst, just because I think this is going to help, like explaining that this is also going to help, in amongst people that I've lost 3 out of 4 of my grandparents since 2011. I've lost my auntie and my cousin, who's her son, who was only a couple of years older than me at the time. I was 19. I've lost both of my family dogs that we'd had for 13 years and 10 years. And then a lot of great aunts and uncles, which I know a lot of people like never even meet their great aunts and uncles, but for me, we grew up around them all, like we grew up close with them all. We saw them frequently, a lot of them lived right near us, like, and although I never thought we had a big family, I said this in a video before, but at the most recent funeral I had to go to, which was my nan's, I said I never thought we had a big family until I sit and think about how many funerals we've been to. And I think that's because although there's like, in my immediate family there's 5 of us, there's my mum, my dad, and then us, and my dad only has 1 brother, and my mum only had a brother and a sister, so only 3, so not huge families. But it was my grandparents, both my nans had like 6 or 7 siblings, and then they all had partners, and we grew up close to all of them. I think that's quite unique, because I think some people, when you say, like, I've definitely had like in situations where I was working and I was like, I have to go, like I have to have a day off for the funeral, or to go and see them, to say goodbye, and people would be like, oh, who is it? And you'd say like your great aunt or your great uncle, and people would you kind of got the impression they're like that doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, you could be closer to your great uncle than you are to your parents. Not that that's true for me, but just that we were very close with them all. So yeah, just some background, so let's get into the advice. My first tip can be quite a frustrating one, but I think it's important to say, and that is that I don't believe you can ever truly prepare to lose someone you love. And I say this because I've lost people in all different circumstances, from suddenly to very ill for very long, and like in hospital, and with people that are like really old and really old unwell, and you go and see them in hospital and you see them deteriorate, you convince yourself, I think, that you're prepared. And then for me, when the time eventually came and they passed, I often got quite frustrated with myself afterwards, like, why are you so upset? And you know what, a lot of the things I say might sound weird to people that haven't lost anyone, but this is something I'll go into later, but grief is different for everyone, so don't judge, and I'm not going to keep apologising for saying things that might sound odd, because this is just the truth. I often beat myself up about, like, why are you so sad? You knew this was coming, you had time to prepare, you did prepare, you went and said your goodbyes, you said everything that needed to be said. Like, this is for the best, in the sense that they're not suffering anymore, and blah blah blah, and you think that that'll make it all easier, but it doesn't really, and I'm sorry to have to like be the person to say that, but no one ever really said that to me. And I, after losing people suddenly, was convinced that when then someone got really unwell and was really old, that would be easier and I'd be fine. And when I wasn't, I found that hard to adjust to, and I just think it's important. I kind of wish someone had said to me, you can't ever really prepare to lose someone you love, because at the end of the day you love them, so you're never going to want to lose them. Humans at the end of the day are selfish beings, and because I love them, I selfishly want them to always be around, and so you think you'll take comfort in that, like, their suffering's over, and they were really old or they were really unwell, but actually it's still really difficult to lose that person because you love them. And just don't beat yourself up about that, and I think it's important to know that. It's helped me since that, when I've lost people in those circumstances, to know, like, it's okay, you don't have to convince yourself that you'll be prepared, and then when you're upset afterwards you don't have to beat yourself up. It's perfectly okay and normal. And that kind of goes on to this next point, which is that no two deaths will affect you the same. After losing as many people as I have, you convince yourself that you know and that you are ready for what's to come. You're ready for the grieving process, you're ready to feel angry and then sad and then confused and all these different things, and you're not. And because the fact is that even, like, for instance, I've lost both my granddads, and I was equally close to both of them, but in different ways. And the ways that you'll miss them will be different, the things that remind you of them will be different, the amount you would have seen them and in what circumstances would have been different. So all these things were different about your relationship with those two people, even though you had the same relationship, as in they were both my granddads. And I think after losing one, when I lost the second, I thought, this is going to be the same, I'm going to feel all the same things. I really didn't, and it made me really confused, because I was like, but now I feel, for example, I'm angrier than I was the last time, which I don't think I necessarily was, but just as an example, I'm angrier than last time. Why? Why am I angrier? Like, they were both my granddads, I love them the same, but just, I've lost, like, I can't even count how many people now, and no two are the same, no two have affected me the same. Grieving and mourning is not linear, and when I, back in 2011, first lost people, and it was my first real, like, deep, hurtful loss, I'd have a day where I'd feel better and things would feel easier and brighter, and I'd convince myself that it was only up from there. This is it, I'm only going to feel better day by day now. And then you will for a couple of days, and then one day you'll wake up and you'll be devastated all over again. It'll be like you've just lost them for the first time all over again. And I think knowing that and that is normal is a good thing, because I didn't at the time, and it made me really confused and angry, and made me feel like I was weird. Like, why was I getting better and now I'm going backwards? But it's just the way it is. Like I said, you could be getting better because time is a healer, and then something reminds you and you're set right back, and that's perfectly normal. I think is the important thing to say here, is that that is normal. The next thing that I want to make sure people know is that I don't think you truly ever get over death. I don't think you truly ever get over losing someone you love. You learn to live with it, and time definitely is a healer. Things do get easier and fade as time goes on, but I'm not over it. You know, like, I lost my granddad in 2011. I'm not over it. I'm not okay with the fact that he's not around. Stuff like thinking that he won't be at my wedding or meet my kids, stuff like that, like, still hurts me. And that's not to make anyone that's like just lost someone or thinks they might soon lose someone like panic or worry that it won't like ever be okay. It will, but just that I thought back as a 19-year-old that one day I'd wake up and it would never hurt again, and I'd never be bothered about it again, and it would just be okay. It would all just be okay. I'd never have thoughts that were sad. I'd only think about the good, and that's not realistic. And I think just again knowing that that's normal will help, because there's a lot of confusion that comes with grief, and if I can help alleviate any of that confusion or feeling like you're a weirdo like I did when actually everything's perfectly normal that you're feeling and going through, then hopefully that's one less thing to worry about when you're grieving. For me, the funeral is always the hardest part. I really hate them, I dread them. I mean, no one likes a funeral, but a lot of people have a very positive outlook in that, like, you know, we're doing this one last amazing day for them, we're going to do everything they would have wanted, you know, play their favourite music, have their favourite flowers, we'll all talk about the good times, and that's amazing. But for me, it really feels like too final, which I think is why I find it hard. In fact, that is why I find it so hard. I find it too final. It feels like the last goodbye for me, and it's also rough because often there's a wait. You know, someone doesn't die and then the next day you have their funeral. Even if it is only a week, a lot of healing is done in that week, I think, and then to have to go to the funeral and kind of be reminded of it all, and then have that like final goodbye, I just really struggle with. So again, if you have a funeral coming up, just know that it's okay that you're dreading it. You don't have to be super positive about everything right now. It's okay to dread it. That's not disrespectful to the person who you've lost. You're perfectly entitled to feel how you feel. Just on the day, try and take some comfort from how many people turned up, from how much that person would have loved the music and the flowers and seeing all of your faces. Take comfort in the lovely things people say at the wake or at the funeral. And you know, if you have like a reading about the person, try and take comfort from that. That's really the only thing that ever gets me through the funerals. But definitely the hardest part for me is having to leave the end of the funeral. Because I always have this overwhelming sense of like leaving my loved one behind forever, and even now that's like making me want to cry. I hate that, and I used to feel really odd about that because I'd never heard anyone outwardly express feeling that way. So hopefully if you feel the same as me and you've never heard anyone, now you have. I feel that way too, and it's okay. Everyone deals with death differently. This is something that's really important if a loved one has lost someone, but also for yourself. Don't let anyone ever make you think or feel like the way that you are grieving is wrong. So long as you're not hurting anyone, so long as you're not crossing lines and boundaries with people that you love, because, you know, death can bring up anger and resentment and all these other things that are hard, as long as you're not crossing boundaries of people, hurting people, then I think however you feel is okay. You know, some people cope really well, some people go silent and won't talk to you, some people get angry, some people just cry lots, some people just want to focus on the positive, and all of those things I think you just need to leave people, give them some space, let them feel those things, because the worst thing to do is to like shut down and stifle how you really feel and want to grieve, because it'll come out eventually and it'll be worse than it would have been if you dealt with it at the time. It's not okay to take your anger out on people around you. If you're angry about death, that's definitely not okay, but definitely talk about the fact that you feel angry. Talk about why you're angry, what's making you angry, and if you don't know, talk about the fact that you're angry and you don't know why. Just talking with people helps massively, and it will help also make other people realise that you're dealing with it differently to them, and then hopefully they can be more understanding and know how to help you. Because I only know that people deal with death differently because I've been around, you know, all of my family and my boyfriend when we've all lost people, and we've talked about the ways in which we're feeling, and we all deal with it differently. So talking about the way that you feel is important. Do what feels natural to you when it comes to your mourning or grieving process. No one ever told me to do this, but when I first lost people that were like them in that first year, that were like the people I was most close with, one night I just felt like I was so filled to the brim with thoughts and feelings and emotion, and that I didn't know what to do with it, and it was just like brewing in me. And it was like literally 3 in the morning, and I scrambled around in the dark and found a notepad and a pen, and I wrote a letter to them, like an individual letter, just saying how I feel, how I felt. It felt like my final conversation with them, but after they'd gone, and it really helped me. And so to this day I still write a letter, and I keep them, and I haven't looked back over them. I couldn't tell you what they said, but it just helped getting it out. When it was stuff that I didn't really feel like I wanted. I don't know, I just said talk to people. It wasn't stuff that I felt I needed or wanted to talk to people about. It was that I wanted to talk to the person that had gone, and obviously being unable to do that left me with all this like brewing, and I am the person that needs to express themselves. I don't do well with holding things in, and that just writing those letters really helped. And no one told me to do that, it's just what I naturally felt like I wanted to do. So whatever it is that you naturally feel you want to do, whether that's spending more time alone or spending more time with people, whether it's whatever it is, just know that that's okay, and I think it's really good to do whatever your instincts are telling you to do, because that has helped me so much over the years. They mean a lot to me, and also I've sometimes copied them and given a copy to be put in with the person that you've lost, which is just something really personal that I think is nice, and it made me feel connected to them. My last piece of advice would be to think of the good times. Think of the best of those people. You know, if you have seen them deteriorate in health, and the way they look changes, all of that's really difficult, and I've had that happen on many occasions with people I love, and it's hard, but remembering them at their best, remembering the best times, talking about the best times is really comforting and lovely. And it can be really hard, and it can be really raw, especially in the beginning, because thinking of the good times can make you deeply sad that you're not going to have those good times anymore, and I totally get that every time I lose someone. But there will come a time when you find it easy and it's what you want to do, and I think that's really healthy and good, and you're honouring their life and your memories. And when I first lost my first granddad, who was my mum's dad, I remember being like, I'm just so angry and upset that like other people have, like I see people with their grandparents and it makes me really jealous and like upset and angry that he's not around and that he won't be here for my wedding, etc, etc. My dad said, yeah, but you've got to change that perspective, because look how lucky you are that you had all 4 grandparents until you were in your 20s. Like some people never even meet theirs. And I know a lot of people, most people around me never had all 4, never knew all 4 of their grandparents. And that's really stayed with me, and I really try and pull on that when I'm struggling with stuff to do with death and losing people. Is just thinking about how lucky I was to know them rather than how unlucky I was to lose them. Better to have loved and lost than never have loved at all, and that is so true, because I would never ever trade in all of my time and memories of these people that I love because of how hard their death was. So that's it for this video. I really hope it helped someone, anyone, even if it helps one person. That will mean the world to me, and that's all I really wanted to do with this video. So let me know if you have any other tips, leave them in the comments, because hopefully you can also help people, because like I said, everyone goes through these things differently, so everyone will have different advice and different things that work for them. This is just what I think helps and what I've helped other people in real life with. So yeah, let's just try and take our negative life experiences and make them into something good. That's all I really want to do. So please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it, if it did help you. I know it's weird to say you enjoyed a video about death, but if it was helpful, or if you think I should do more advice videos, definitely let me know. And please subscribe. I do upload 3 new videos every single week, and I would love to have you. And yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I hope that if you are struggling with death or losing someone, that your heart can be a bit lighter today. I'm sending you all the positive, healing, loving vibes. Bye.